My son made his sister cry on her birthday, and I've never been prouder. When my son Owen was 12, he was hit by a drunk driver while riding his bike home from soccer practice. He survived, but his throat and vocal cords were damaged so severely that the doctors told us he might never speak again. He could eat, he could breathe, and maybe, one day, with a ton of work, he could make some sounds. But words? Probably not. He took it hard, but he wasn't angry. He was more quiet. Which sounds obvious, I know, but not just because he couldn't speak. He stopped trying. No whiteboard, no phone notes, not even hand signals. It was like if he couldn't speak the way he used to, he didn't want to speak at all. His little sister June, who was 6 at the time, didn't get it. Before the accident, they were inseparable. Morning cereal together, trading Pokemon cards, arguing over whose turn it was to feed the dog. But after, Owen would just give her a tired smile when she talked to him. Sometimes he'd type short answers in his notes app, but June was too little to read fast. She'd stare at the screen, trying to make sense of what he meant, while he waited, watching her get frustrated. One day, I found June sitting on the floor in front of his door. I asked what she was doing, and she whispered, waiting for him to talk to me again. My heart broke into about 400 pieces. I didn't push Owen, but I told him. Not in a guilt-trippy way, just so he'd know. He didn't say anything, of course. But that night, I heard sounds coming from his room, like throat noises, like someone trying to talk underwater. I knocked, asked if he was okay, and he waved me off. But I saw him, standing in front of his mirror, holding his neck, trying to shape vowels like he used to. That was 6 months ago. Fast forward to June's 7th birthday. We had a small party in the backyard, just family and a few of her friends. She wore this sparkly dress with a tutu built in, the kind she said made her look like a fairy mermaid unicorn. We did cake, we sang happy birthday, and June blew out her candles. Then Owen stood up. He tapped his glass with a fork, like people do in weddings, and the whole table went quiet. Everyone turned toward him. He had that look, the one he used to get right before penalty kicks. Focused, nervous, determined. Then he took a deep breath and said, "Happy birthday, June." His voice was rough, scratchy, barely a whisper, but you could hear it. Actual words, real and raw and completely unpolished. June froze. Her mouth dropped open. Then she burst into tears. Not the "my party's ruined" kind of crying, the kind where your heart feels too full and it leaks out your eyes. She launched across the table, frosting and all, and hugged him so hard I thought he might fall over. "You talked," she said. "You talked for me." Owen smiled, and then, barely, laughed. It came out like a cough, but it was there. Laughter. Later that night, after everyone left and June had passed out from the emotional overload, I asked him, "How long were you practicing?" He pulled out his phone and typed, "Every night since you told me what she said." Then he added another line. I didn't want my first words back to be about me. That wrecked me, in the best possible way. The next few weeks, he kept pushing. 20 minutes a day with the speech therapist, then 30. Some days were better than others. Some days he sounded like gravel, but other days, I could hear the old Owen again, joking with his sister, calling the dog over, even teasing me when I burned dinner. A few weeks ago, June got scared during a thunderstorm, ran straight into Owen's room and curled up on his bed. I peeked in, worried she was bothering him, but before I could say anything, I heard him murmur, "It's just sky drums, nothing to worry about." June giggled and said, "Sky drums? That's silly." He replied, "You're silly," and they both laughed. I stepped away and closed the door, just barely holding it together. He didn't just get his voice back, he got their connection back. So yeah, my son made his sister cry on her birthday, and I've never been prouder.